And we are live. You. All right. Joe Quartermain. Hey, Joe. And apparently Shy Boy Records has also joined the conversation. Hey, Anna, Dom. Hey, there's a bunch of you here. Hey, Ivy. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm just going to add in Nat Dunn because it's going to be pretty boring if this is just me. Hold up. We're just waiting for Nat.
Hello.
Hey.
We made it. We
How
did
are
it.
you?
Good. Let me just turn you up a bit.
Yeah, crank the volume.
Yeah, you're up now. That's good.
Okay, I'm going to do the same here so I can hear you nice and loud. Hopefully I don't hang something up.
What a crew.
Mate, massive crew. You and me in
Love it.
isolation.
Oh, big crew here. Solo.
Hey,
100.
Nick. Oh, Dom, love heart eyes. This is nice.
Hi.
How you going?
Good. I'm good. What am I? Day far out. How do I not know that? Got in on Saturday last week. So it was a week on Saturday. So Sunday, Monday, yeah.
It was
I can't.
kind of good. It was kind of good timing, right? Because you were in LA, you were about to do a bunch more work over there, and then you made probably a smart decision to come home.
Yeah, it was actually, this year has been back and forth a lot from LA and Australia. Like, obviously, I live in LA. For anyone that doesn't know, I live in LA and I live here as well. So I travel back and forth a lot for shows and things. And actually, this year alone, I think I've come back and forth like 3 times already. And it's the first quarter of the year. But it's for shows and for sessions and things back in LA. So I left for the airport straight from a session with Bibi Rexa and Clean Bandit, and then came and did Feel the Love shows with Hayden James out here, and then went back to LA. Literally the last time was 2 days, and I did a day with Nicole Scherzinger for Pussycat Dolls and a day with Icona Pop, and then stuff started feeling really like it was on the turn of looking not great. So I thought, if I'm going to be sort of locked down anywhere, I figure the healthcare system here would look after me a bit better. So I just made the quick call to fly home like 10 days ago, and I just did it after being there for like 2 days. But I worked for those 2 days at least, but yeah, it was pretty quick.
You got something out of it at least. That's good.
Yeah.
So for people who are kind of just logging in or joining us now, just to give some context, I'm Jules. I work for Mushroom Publishing. I haven't just completely hijacked the social media for no reason. So I am the creative manager for Mushroom Publishing. I look after all our collaborations and co-writing. So I have the pleasure of having worked with Nat for the last couple of years.
Love,
And Nat,
love.
you've just
Yeah.
dropped some pretty big names there.
Oh, yeah.
In
I'm
the
a big
last, we're only 1 minute into this, and we've already had it.
I was just dropping them.
But some people may not know Nat is an incredible songwriter, artist, producer. She's worked with some huge names in Australia and around the world, like she's just mentioned, Anne Marie, Bibi Rexa, Rita Ora, the list goes on and on. You would have heard her voice in Nations, which she is a part of, and also on Hayden James's record, which she's also been touring with over the last. Is this feeling awkward for you yet? I could keep going. You're just
No,
like, yep, just keep running the accolades.
no,
Anyway,
yeah,
you get the point. She's got an impressive list of credits. So hence why we're having this conversation today.
yeah.
But so you came home. So where are you now? You're in
I'm
Noosa?
in Noosa, and I am self-isolating, even though I got back to Australia like maybe 2 days before they brought that in. I obviously, as soon as they brought it in, I was like, I've got to do that anyway. I feel like that's something I have to do. So, and that's what everyone should be doing now anyway. So, yeah, solo for a few days. But I spoke to you, I think, about what I'd been doing with the Salt Wives in London, who
Yeah.
are producer friends of mine. who,
So
I don't know,
tell us a bit more about them.
They're a duo, producer duo, and they're incredible. And I work with them a lot on various projects. But one in particular, so they've done like Sia and Zayn, Dust Till Dawn, heaps of stuff, Kygo, all sorts of things. They're amazing. But I love working with them. And actually, Anne-Marie and I did a lot of days with them in London when we were writing stuff for her new album. And we thought, let's try like doing a session, via, London to Noosa. But they're so technical and they're so clever that they were like, no, we've got this software that we want to trial, and we know the creator of the software. So they spoke to him, and there's this new version that we've been testing of a particular software that a lot of radio stations already use. When they do kind of remote hosts, when hosts are in different countries and stuff like that.
And it's one of the people in this duo are they involved in radio as well somehow?
No.
No?
Really,
oh, okay. So that
100% producers, yeah, record producers.
And just to go back a bit, because obviously you're traveling a lot and you're working with different artists in different places all the time. So I guess working collaboratively from different places is probably not new to you. So how has that worked for you previously? Is it ideas that you've started and then you would sort of come back to them when you're working remotely?
Some things, like actually today, another conversation I had today with another producer was John Shave, who is in a group called The Invisible Men, who did Fancy.
Right.
Like Charlie and Iggy, The Invisible Men. I spoke to them today about a song that we'd written like 6 months ago and that we're trying to finish now. So he sent me the parts for me to give feedback on what sections I thought needed changing and what were right. So we're on a call pretty much after this,
right.
talk about that as well. So, I'm definitely used to it. And that's something I would do anyway if I wasn't isolated, obviously, because he's in London and sometimes I'm in Los Angeles and we're not always in the same room. So we definitely, as top liners and producers and writers, we always do this anyway. But I think the change this time was obviously that I was like forced into having to do it and wanting to feel like I was still being productive and active and not just like finishing things off that I needed to get done. I wanted to be creating like I normally create, because it's a part of me, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure so many people that are probably watching that are the same as me, that are creatives, and they feel really weird not to be doing it and not to be with the people that they do that with every day. Like, I know it's what I love doing. It's not a job, but it is a job because it's what I do every day, and it's what I love to do every day. Like, I'm lucky to do it.
Yeah, 100%. So given that the context, I guess, has changed, or maybe the circumstances have changed, have you noticed that creatively you're writing differently at all as well? Or what are you noticing that's changing for you creatively at the moment?
I think so. The one main chunk of time that we used the software for on the second night, I think, that we were trying it out, we managed to get the delay kind of like worked out, so we knew who was hearing what at what time. And they because when you're writing brand new melodies, this is the other thing we learned, they don't know whether I'm on purpose trying to start on the one or after the one. So like, we kind of like it on the one, but were you doing it on the one or after the one? Like, were you starting that verse on the one? So we had to kind of trial it for a while where they would track me. We'd all be on cans and I'd be going, okay, give me 2 bars pre-roll, and then I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know where I'm hearing the one. So we kind of
to sync it up.
So obviously, then when we got it going the second night, so back to your actual question, sorry, I'm such a rambler. Haven't even had a wine yet, and it's happy hour.
Oh, mate, crack one. I was searching around. There's none here. It's dry hour here.
No. It was a little bit different because I guess, I don't know, maybe I found that I was just doing different kind of, I don't know, a different approach slightly. And I felt like my time was so limited because of the time difference as well. I was kind of like, okay, let me just do a bunch of different melodies and see if any words fall out, and I'll like, I don't know, it's slightly different, but not really. It's kind of the same. That's what's so cool about this software. Now that now that you're asking me that,
Right.
I feel like this software is so incredible, and it's not like a Skype session or a FaceTime session where I think that would be weird. And I'll tell you why, because the two main differences that I wanted to talk to you about when we are talking about this whole like isolation collaboration was the software that I'm talking about versus doing it like, I'll send you stems, you write something on this track, you top line on it, send me your vocal.
Send it back.
Yeah, that feels disconnected to me.
Right.
Like I struggle doing that when I'm not in isolation and people are like, hey Nat, can I send you this track? And can you write? I like being in the room with people, whether or not I'm the only one doing the top line and the lyrics and the melody and stuff. Like I still want to be in the room with the producer. I want to get their feeling and their energy and I want to gauge what they're liking and what pocket and what rhythms they're feeling. You know what I mean? Like it's
100%.
So that's why I feel like you can't compare what I'm talking about when you can track in real time as if I'm with them to like doing a Skype session and maybe jumping off for a bit and going, yeah, you record that and then send the stems to me. It's just not quite the same flow.
Yeah, 100%. I was having a conversation with one of my favorite A&R people in the US this week, and just about the idea of kind of songwriting as an energy and creators being together as an energy. And I guess when you aren't, if you're just trading files via Dropbox, it's cool. You can still make great stuff, but you don't necessarily have access to that chemistry of when you're doing stuff in real time and having real live responses. Even in our little A&R meetings now, trying to make sure that we're actually listening to stuff at the same time. We can actually see each other's reactions and see when someone gets excited about a melody or gets excited about a hook,
So true. There is nothing like direct human connection. But in this case, I think this is a really cool way to like get as close as possible. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I'm so excited about it.
So, okay, first, I'm just going to say we're not affiliated in any way with this software.
No.
But what is it?
It's called Source Connect, but I don't even think anyone can use it just yet. But I think we had like one given to us to use, like kind of like a, here you go, and they screen shared and then they loaded up whatever they needed to do on my computer and then, but I know that it will be like available, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it already is, but the version that we were using, I know I can't just go on there now and pull it up. It needs to be something that's arranged with the Salt Wives. So like I'm working on talking to them this week about it, because heaps of people, like songwriter mates, are like talking to me. The other day I was on Instagram live on my thing, talking about the new song that just came out yesterday with Anne-Marie, the song that we did together with Steve Mack as well. Shout out. Shout out or name drop, whatever you like.
Both.
What a G. Yeah, but while I was on there, Tommy Brown jumped on and I was talking about the software and he was like, dope, like Tommy Brown, if anyone's on there that doesn't know who Tommy Brown is.
Just a little artist called Ariana Grande that he's worked with a bunch.
Yeah, he's amazing. And a lovely human. So yeah, he was like, dope, that sounds awesome. So, there's so many people that are interested and of every level.
Right. But as far as what you've got on your end, you've got quite a simple setup. So you've got just a pretty standard microphone, a really basic interface, right? Some monitors or cans. Yeah, SM7, can't go wrong. Works for MJ, it'll work for us.
The Thriller mic.
Yeah.
A hard drive, an interface, monitors, laptop. That's it.
Great.
I'm not sort of, I don't have a keyboard or anything, but I don't play. I'm a hack at ukulele. I'm trash at it. So I'm getting better because I have to. And it has a pickup. So the cool thing about this that I want to explain as well to people that like, to people that are like, oh, I don't play an instrument, I'm just a top liner. It's like, you're not just a top liner, okay? You know sounds, you know what you like,
awesome.
You know what you want to hear. So the cool thing about this is I can't play a guitar because for some reason I feel like, which is not true, because physically people with smaller hands than me can play guitar. I just can't. So this is easier for me to play, easier chords to play, and it's got a pickup. So when I plug it into my interface and Logic, I get all of these different sounds. I don't have to like write Kumbaya songs, you know, like sometimes that's what's inspired by this sort of sound.
Right.
But I can plug it in and change it to whatever sound I want, strings, and every chord I'm playing is a different sound. So it's like whatever you can get your hands on. And it doesn't matter how trash you are, because I'm trash.
Well, you're not trash. I did see you posted that little thing with it the other day, so I wouldn't say it's quite trash.
I'm pretty basic at it, but getting better because I got the time.
So I guess on that, that's probably a really good tip for other writers is I guess use what is at your, you know, disposal right now, whether that's a shitty little uke or whether that's just tracking vocals or whatever it is you have and you can use. What other, you know, practical tips can you give other writers or producers or artists who are, you know, we're all, I guess, in a really similar boat at the moment in isolation, but what can you, suggest to us to maybe stay creative, stay inspired, keep productive, if that's what we're wanting to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was surprised at how, like, I was like, I need to stay motivated. How am I going to stay motivated? I think keeping our heads right is obviously first and foremost. As creatives, like we were saying before, you can get really kind of down when you're not around a lot of people or you're in a studio used to being around people every day. I've found it really helpful to meditate every morning, and I haven't meditated in years. And I know people are like, oh, here we go. She's like, so like maybe some people aren't for meditation or whatever. And I think it's really helped me. So I'm just giving you my honest tip that,
Awesome.
you know, yeah, I'm not a super like Zen peace person, but I think it's really, really beneficial at this time. You know what I mean? Because no one's ever gone through this ever. So take care of your brain, take care of your head, take care of your spirit, take care of your body as well. I've been exercising every day and making sure that I do meditation, exercise, music, art. Like I have to do all of these things. So I make a list. My vitamins, meditation, vitamins, exercise, art, and also brain exercises as well. So like learning a new skill. The time that you have now as well, I think I was saying that I want to get so much better at Logic. I know Pro Tools because I've only ever used Pro Tools for comping vocals and things like that. And even with Pro Tools, I got really like slow at it and forgot so much when I stopped using it because I was working with a lot of engineers for the last few years that are much better and quicker than me, and I can just tell them what I want. So I got sort of bad at doing at you know, operating Pro Tools myself, and I'd never used Logic. So now because I've got this laptop here and not my iMac with Pro Tools on it, I'm forced to use Logic, and I've never navigated through this software before. So even though it's, for some people it's like second nature, for me it's not, even though I've used other, so I'm having to learn that, and it's like, this is the time to do it. So I think people
are you finding that
just top line get other skills.
Yeah. Are you finding using the new software, is that like expanding your ideas, or is it kind of maybe focusing them in a different direction, do you reckon?
I don't think I've gotten too deep in it just yet. I'm still sticking to mainly vocals. So like, yeah, but it's more just that I get frustrated a little bit, but it's just like the only way you're going to get better at this is if you just keep doing it. Open that aspect. Look up YouTube tutorials if that's what you've got to do. Once you find the shortcuts and things like that, get a friend to send you a template. Obviously, that's the first thing you should do because that's what I do. Well,
that's a good piece of advice right there.
Yeah, definitely get a friend that maybe if you're a top liner or a songwriter and you only ever have someone else record you, get the person that does your favorite vocals, but you're like, damn, they make my vocals sound good. Just ask them if they can slip you a little template with that same vocal setup on it. Yeah, that's what I do.
That's great.
And Baby Daddy. So yeah.
I did notice a little question come up here from Claudia Tripp. She was asking about how you got into writing for other people, and advice on pitching songs to artists and labels.
Yeah. I got into it. Actually, I signed to Mushroom when I was 15, so it's been a long time. And I'd always written then, and I was a solo artist over here in Australia, and then into writing for other people. I was writing for sort of some of the TV show X Factor to people in New Zealand and here, and then yeah, I don't know, I always created, and whether it was me being the vehicle or someone else, it was still just as lovely to do. And I think there's something so special about, now it's like a massive passion of mine, obviously, that I love doing my own music with Nations and Nat Dunn features and things like that. But I love digging my teeth into like a proper, like going in with an artist that trusts me and I trust them, and we do the whole, like we go in and we write lots and lots, like whole projects. I like to be across that. And at the end of the day, you don't know if the album comes out and they end up using 5 of your songs, 2 of your songs, 10 of your songs sometimes, depending on, you know, how the label set it up. But I'm just really passionate about working with people that I feel are being authentic, and the only way you can write authentically is if you really are spending a lot of time with that artist and you know them in their head, and they know you can I think you can write better songs when you know that you know each other's DNA a bit more.
100%. Like we were saying before, it is about that chemistry and having that actual real relationship with the people that you're working with, and trust is such a massive part of it. Any creative process, you know, really requires so much trust, I believe. But like, I think some of my favorite writers, or some of the people that I would say are, you know, really strong songwriters who are writing for other people, still seem to be able to put so much of their own essence and soul into what they write. You know, like I feel like I maybe know you well enough now that I can tell a Nat Dunn song, or, you know, often you'll hear a Rihanna record or, you know, whatever record, and you'll be like, oh, that's a Sia song. Even though it still is obviously, you know, completely tailored to that artist. How do you strike that balance of still being true to yourself as a writer and making sure that you don't compromise on the things that make Nat Dunn, but at the same time getting the DNA of Anne-Marie, or getting in the head of Charlie XCX, or these people that you work with? How do you find the balance?
I think that at the end of the day, they want you on it because they write well with you and their chemistry is right with you, and they can say what they need to say with you. So I know that, yeah, there are definitely like times where people have said to me, I can tell that you wrote that, or that sort of melody. And I just think that it's actually just a compliment. And every bit of music that anyone puts out is, you're always going to feel little bits of all of the creators in it. Just like when Rick Rubin is executive producing something, or when, you know, just by his editing, just by his sound editing and choices, you can tell that, you know, that multiple people have touched something. And I think that that's a nice thing. I never try and like find or kind of focus on a balance of it. I just try and be 100% me and let them be 100% them. And also try and, my main thing when I'm working with an artist is like, what do I see in them that they probably don't see in themselves or recognize? I guess everyone sees themselves so differently to the way the actual rest of the world sees them, including myself. So perception is a massive thing. And I think talking to the artists that I work with about that and what I think their audience wants to hear from them is very different sometimes to what they think their audience want to hear from them. And having those conversations and having that trust is like, I'm probably way off topic of what you actually originally asked me.
No, this is actually perfect.
but it's just like such an important thing to me, because I think that when artists are their most authentic selves and say things that maybe they would never normally expose, that's when people connect. That's when people are like, whoa, that moves me.
100%. I often liken, you know, a great collaborator being someone that can take a mirror and hold it back up to the artist and show them the truth of what's there, and maybe shine a different light on it, which is exactly what you were just saying. And I think that's what really amazing songwriters and collaborators are able to do, is to not, you know, take anything away from an artist or a project, but really, you know, I think the best art is made when, like you're saying, everyone is being their true selves and showing their vulnerable sides. And sometimes that comes out in fun, sassy ways. Sometimes it comes out in really heartfelt ways, like, you know, the song that you just put out with Anne-Marie. But in any case, I think, having that trust, that rapport, and that mutual respect.
Yeah, and the ability to, I think, have them trust your opinion on that and be like, really? And you're like, yeah, this is the mirror. This is you. You don't see that? Because everyone else does. I do. And I think that this is where you shine the most and you don't even know. Like, let's go there.
Right.
And then they get excited about it. If they're, you know, because it's amazing. Like, just with friendships, even when you know, when you're a bit more aware, or when you talk to people about certain, you know, traits that we all have as people, it's interesting. Anyone holding a mirror up is pretty revealing sometimes.
And it's a bold thing to do as well sometimes, to call out truth in people like that as well.
Yeah. To make art out of it. It's just we're so lucky to do it. So like this time that we're on our own shouldn't stop that. I'm really trying hard for it not to. And I do think the main tip is every day, make sure you do a little bit for your head, a little bit for your body, a little bit for your heart, and then make some art, and then, yeah, brain, active, skills, learn a new skill.
Obviously, the future is kind of a bit uncertain, at least the immediate future. It's maybe a little bit uncertain at the moment for a lot of people. But how do you see it looking for you? Do you think, like, having learnt these skills and these practices that you're now putting into place, how do you think you can carry this over, maybe once this all kind of, you know, settles down and we go back to some sort of normal life? What do you think will be the main takeaways for you, or what do you think will be different for you moving forward?
I think I'm already a workaholic, so that's like not, and traveling obviously is stopped, but that won't stop me doing the work that I'm doing. So I think what I'll take away from it will be, where normally I would be like, well, I'm not going to recut that vocal until, you know, my favorite engineer, Jose, is available to do it. I will be like, you know what? I got to do it. I can do it. They need this vocal. I'm going to do it. I will do it myself, and I will comp it, and I will send it, you know. So I guess I'll be doing some more hours in the studio, but at home. You know, like I'm not at the studio 7 days a week anyway. But yeah, maybe I just think any knowledge or skill that you used to do that you don't practice so much anymore, like I was saying, for me, not using Pro Tools as much myself and having the luxury of having great engineers around me that can do it and comp with me when I'm doing that for artists. It's just gonna get it's like riding a bike, get me back on that. I think it's good to know. All knowledge is power, isn't it? So.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess it's great to know that you can be completely self-sufficient in those ways, even though you may have all those resources, you know, at your disposal at various times, knowing that you can be, you know, completely isolated, or, you know, when touring kicks off again, that you can be on the road and still capable of being productive and getting, you know, really great music out, and also having these other practices that you're talking about, you know, looking after yourself, really checking in with yourself, looking after your body, having all of those things going for you as well. That's really great to have and to take forward.
I think confidence you'll take forward as well. Anyone that's doing this more so on their own and having to like do things that normally other people would usually do that role in the room, in the studio, and then you're having to do it. Maybe I think confidence is going to be a big thing that people will take away from it. Just confidence in general.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, for every level. One last thing I wanted to say that I think is cool.
Please, go.
That I've also thought is a nice thing to do. If you can. You can't, that's fine. But now that everyone's not touring, and that's been obviously a big blow for a lot of people with album cycles and, you know, touring income, I am gonna like buy a piece of merch every couple of weeks or every month. So this week I bought a long sleeve shirt from Cub Sport.
Love them.
Love them. We saw them, didn't we, at the QMAs?
The Queensland Music Awards. Amazing. What an incredible voice.
I was like, how do I not? I didn't know. I feel stupid saying that, but I didn't know a lot about them, and I just heard them on the radio because I've been in LA a lot less, and they're over there as well. They were going to do a tour in June, but in North America. But yeah, I was like blown away. I was just like, wow, you're magical. So anyway, I bought one of their shirts, and maybe I'll, buy vinyl next month of someone else's. It's just like a way to still support while they're not touring.
Love that. Yeah, I think any way that we can continue to support each other, whether that's checking in with each other, doing, little things like this, which I know a lot of people are doing, buying merch, streaming, listen to music, and then, we'll just keep going and hopefully get through it together. That's what we do. I think art has the ability to sustain us through these, weird scenarios. Like this is, as everyone keeps saying, unprecedented, but musicians throughout history and art throughout history has been challenged and, and it's survived. So, and artists have survived. So, I think we can all be encouraged, by everything that you're saying and, keep going.
Also, every industry that's suffering, not just art. I guess that's why we need art even more now, to keep creating, keep writing, because you need to lift people's spirits. You need people to be happy, because times are going to be tough for a lot of different industries over the next however long. It's like changing every day. I know that we're all learning more every day, but like we need to keep art happening to keep spirits high. So keep on making.
Love it. You keep on making.
You keep on making. Love you.
Oh, I love you too, babes.
Does
Really
anyone have any
catching
questions?
up. Couple other questions. Okay, let's see what we've got. Bianca, Aussies tend to self-deprecate. Is this seen as humility in the US or a lack of confidence? I notice this often when I am in America, how positive everyone is. You go to LA and everyone's like, living the dream.
That's so true. I actually, when I first moved there, I was calling them hype donkeys. I was like, oh, that dude's a total hype donkey. Like, just tell me all about it. Tell me all about yourself. But that is honestly, I guess, something that city kind of breeds, because you have to kind of hustle. But there's a healthy hustle. Try and do the healthy hustle.
I think when the confidence is coming from yourself and your own sense of identity, whether that's as a person or as an artist, then it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like hype. And I think Aussies have a really good bullshit radar, just generally, and we kind of don't like the hype. And I can buy into some hype. I love some hype sometimes, but when it's genuine confidence, I think you can tell the difference, So
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, there's something to be said for knowing your worth. There's healthy ego. That's another thing that I find really interesting, ego, and in artists and in writers and producers in rooms, and seeing the ones that they need their ego to actually create. And I mean, everyone does to a point, but I think that again, there's like this way of getting to know your ego and managing it so that again, it's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got to know what you have to say and what it is that you bring into the room. You can't show up for the job and be, full of self-doubt or questioning all your decisions. You've got to have enough confidence and, self-assurance to put your ideas forward and to speak your mind and to speak your truth. And I think without that, you can't really survive as a writer, as an artist.
So true.
Especially working collaboratively with people, you're constantly putting yourself out there. You're constantly in new scenarios with new people, and you don't know what they're going to think of you.
Yeah, the dynamics in the room change every day depending on who's in it, and like getting to know how to navigate through that has been like, I reckon that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in over the last 5 years, is how to still be yourself 100% in the room, but also realize that you have to be aware of all of these different personalities and energies, and where do I fit in today that's going to be comfortable for me and comfortable for everyone else. I think that's a huge tip, in my opinion. That's one huge thing that I learned, a lesson that I learned that I find valuable, is what I'm trying to say. Shit, I'm a hype donkey. Fuck.
The OG hype donkey.
Oh well.
Cool. All right. Well, we might wrap things up there. But so good to catch up. Thank you so much for,
Thank you.
yeah, for chatting. And what we will probably try and do, we're going to try and do these semi-regularly and chat to different people, whether that's about collaboration or we want to do some stuff around mental health and wellness as well.
That's so
But we're
cool.
open to ideas. So hit us if you've got ideas. Feel free to comment on our posts and let us know, or slide into the DMs. We love a good DM slide. So hit us up with ideas. We're totally open to hearing what you as creatives or writers who might be tuning in want to know. We don't just need more mindless banter on the internet. So let us know what's going to be meaningful and make sense for you guys. But yeah, thanks, Nat. Love you. Love your work. Keep
Jules.
going. And yeah, we'll chat to you guys all really soon.
Love you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.